Hey everyone, how's it going? I am Xeracon and I am back once again. Crime boss Al Capone once said this about life: nothing is certain except for death and grinding in a role playing game. Okay, maybe he didn't say that, but if he did, he wouldn't be wrong. Gamers have come to expect grinding in RPGs. It's part of the RPG circle of life. Unless you're playing something that's completely skill based, like an action RPG where you can dodge attacks, and even then, you're going to have an extremely hard time, you will need to level up in order to prevent damage dealt and increase your HP. And of course, you can also increase the damage you deal as well. Now, you might be thinking, why are you telling us this, Zeracon? We know how this works. This isn't baby's first role playing game. And you're right. But I wanted to illustrate this point because when grinding is done right, it feels rewarding. But recently, I've been reminded of the dark side of grinding, particularly the subset of grinding known as farming. I'm currently playing Kingdom Hearts Rechain of Memories, and one of the achievements requires you to get every card in the game. This includes world cards, friend cards, battle cards, and enemy cards. Many of the cards you'll get easily through playing the game or meeting certain requirements. However, there are some that are very RNG based. Before I finished Sora's story, I wanted to knock out the few cards I needed before I started Riku's side. That required getting a few enemy cards and the random Joker map card. Most of the enemy card grinding was fine, however I hit a huge brick wall with the Aqua Tank enemy card. I was farming for that card for 4 hours before it dropped, and it reminded me of how much I hate this in video games. I understand that rare items should be rare, but I shouldn't have to spend 4 hours just to get one card. And to add more perspective, I was able to level up twice during this period, when levels required more than 22,000 EXP, and the enemies at most dropped 100 EXP each. And this instance reminded me of another case of tedious grinding. Nier Automata had some painful farming moments when you needed to get certain items to craft all the gear in the game for the achievement. I spent a couple playthroughs farming an area just so I could get enough parts to craft the final weapon I needed for the achievement. Yes, I know you can buy the achievements in the game, but I wanted to actually earn it. But that doesn't mean I feel like wasting my time because of chance. The most egregious case of farming / grinding I can think of is in Daemon X Machina. And it's not for farming for weapons and arsenal parts, it's for farming enemies. The game has several achievements that require you to defeat a total of 100,000 enemies. If you're playing a game like Dynasty Warriors, this might not seem impressive, but to give you some perspective, I beat the main story and side missions, did the co-op missions, and farmed all the weapons and gear, which was also tedious by the way, all before defeating 20,000 enemies. So I would need to do the equivalent of all that 4 more times just to get to the 100,000 threshold. I already put more than 100 hours into the game, which has very little replay value after you complete all the missions. I don't like that there are 2 achievements keeping me from 100%, but I also don't like that I would be wasting hours of my finite time just to accomplish that. So, getting back to the focal point, why is there so much tedium in games now? Why can't we just work at earning what we want without making it a total chore? Like I said before, I don't want these things handed to me on a plate, but it shouldn't take me an eternity just to get to my goal. As another example, if you've played Dark Souls 3, you know about needing to farm for several covenants to get the weapons and spells you need, particularly for the achievements. You'll also know about needing to farm in Anor Londo for the Blades of the Dark Moon. I don't even remember how many times I walked up the steps, killed the Silver Knights in the vicinity, and went back down the steps to the bonfire, just so I could repeat this process a dozen or so times before I could obtain a single proof of Concord kept. That was not fun. And the thing is, it's not like farming can't work. Monster Hunter is a great example of farming done right. Mostly. Getting the cards you need might take time, but it doesn't feel like a chore, especially if you're playing with friends. In my experience, it never took me more than 7 hunts for a monster before I got what I needed for a piece of armor or weapon. This is farming done the right way. That being said, needing to slay 1,000 monsters in the base game and expansion each for Monster Hunter Rise definitely is tedious, along with trying to get all the large and small crowns. And one more example I want to bring up. Earlier I mentioned how I needed to get the random Joker card to complete my card set. The base drop rate for that card on beginner mode is 4%. The base drop mode on standard mode is 1.3%. And the base drop rate on proud mode is 0.7%. I get that this is a rare card, but does the chance of obtaining it need to be a fraction of a percent? Please, game developers, stop padding your games like this. These games are fun and people are willing to put time into them. Just don't waste our time needlessly. I don't mind challenges. I encourage them actually. But I don't want to feel like Hercules going through the 12 labors of mediocrity. I would much rather not get the achievements of a game because of a skill issue rather than because I didn't feel like going through the same scenario on repeat for several hours. But that will do it for today. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video and listen to the ramblings of a man who was a victim to chance. But let me know your thoughts on this. Do you think some games have unreasonable farming or grinding aspects? Do you have a personal game that really rubs you the wrong way in this regard? Let me know. And while this topic might seem like a bit of a nitpick, I honestly wish this was the type of problem that was commonly plaguing gamers these days. But alas, that is not the case. So until next time everyone, I am iamxeracon signing off. Have a good one.